is Renuka Ramnath. We are delighted to have Miss Renuka Ramnath amongst us today. She was MD and CEO of ICICI Ventures, which under her able leadership became one of the largest private equity funds in India. Ms. Ramnath has spent over 2.5 decades in the Indian financial sector across private equity, investment banking, and structured finance. As one of the early private equity investors in India, she played a pivotal role in shaping the market. She enjoys singing Indian classical music, is a connoisseur of paintings, and likes to spend time at her farm. She aims to build her firm, Multiples, as a platform to channelize long-term capital to create valuable enterprises and successful entrepreneurs. Ms. Ramnath believes in supporting entrepreneurs so that they can build sustainable businesses. This could be the way to generate employment and facilitate the greater process of nation building. Ladies and gentlemen, please gear up for a new entrepreneurial journey and extend a warm welcome to Ms. Renuka Ramnath.
Congratulations IMA, congratulations Indore. Really enjoyed my stay here in the afternoon. There's so much energy. It's always a pleasure for people like us from Bombay, Delhi to come to cities like Indore and participate in the vibrancy that is here. It must be very hard on all of you to stay for this session, which is indeed the last session after 2 days. A lot has been said about India, the opportunity, the strength, the difficulty, corruption, and so on. I thought I'll share 2 of my personal stories and hopefully communicate something that will be useful for you. First is the story of ICICI Venture. Most people should imagine that working in ICICI should be a very comfortable, easy, assured, laid back, high seat, high power job. Let me tell you from my personal experience that that's the biggest myth. ICICI is a highly entrepreneurial organization where you have to earn your bread. Nothing is assured. And as my luck would have it, from the time I joined ICICI in 1996, I have been given responsibilities of creating new businesses. Never on a single day out of the 23 long years I served the organization that I could sit back and benefit from a beautiful business that my predecessor left for me. The most challenging, the most rewarding of my experience of 23 years in ICICI has been the last 10 years where I created the e-commerce and the ICICI Venture business. I went on a short sabbatical to Harvard, got bitten by the entrepreneurial bug, came back and told Mr. Kamath that I just don't want to do anything that ICICI already has. Can I do something new? Can I do e-commerce? It was a very important time in the period of Indian business, late 90s, when internet was looking like it would challenge all incumbent businesses. So he thought it was quite appropriate for somebody who is bursting with energy to go and do something in e-commerce. Very soon, 2000 happened, the internet bubble burst in the United States, funds dried up, and people didn't know where they were going, and I was caught in the same storm, having to take charge of a 100+ member team that I had built in ICICI, giving them a lot of hope in terms of what can happen out of the ICICI e-commerce initiative. And today we are sitting in this bubble burst and we don't know where we are going to go tomorrow. Thereafter, I safely cruised my team into ICICI Venture, which was a job that was given to me in early 2001, and I thought I've really solved my problem and the problem of my team. When I entered ICICI Venture, I realized that I've in fact been given probably one of the toughest challenges, because the portfolio of little over 500 crores of ICICI money was deeply out of money. And as all of you know, running businesses, especially in publicly listed companies, you have no stomach for loss. The team The capability that the team had at that time had limited value in terms of the going forward journey for ICICI Venture. And I had to create a new blueprint for ICICI Venture and take it forward. What appeared to me as a big salvaging of the problem that I was in e-commerce very quickly vanished to become an even bigger problem, but even bigger expectation from the 100% shareholder, which was ICICI. Mr. Kamath is a fantastic leader. He gives one-line description of the job, and then he will see you probably 4 times a year. And if you do well, sky is the limit. So it's extremely important that we deliver, and sky can be the limit. So he just took me aside in one trip that we were in Singapore together. He said, Renu, I hope you understand that I've given you this job because I want you to go out and raise third-party money. I said, yes, sir, I do understand. And I said, as a matter of fact, let me take a step forward and tell you that if I don't get 70% third-party money, we should close down ICICI Venture. I had put this personal stake on the ground, and I said, felt very confident that I could go out and raise money. Little did I realize that raising money for private equity was not that easy a job. When I started knocking on the doors of international institutions, they asked all the relevant questions. What's your experience in investing? What's your team? How long have you all worked together? What kind of investments will you be making? What investments have you made in the past that should give me the confidence that indeed you are a capable fund manager? Obviously, I had no track record. My track record was out of running very successful investment banking business, very successful structured finance business. I kept saying, no, I'm a good leader. I'm a trustable leader. I've built great businesses. That's all fantastic, which is why we gave you this meeting. But tell me, why are you a great investor? Why will you make money with my money? And who's this team? And my team was all people who I had hired for my e-commerce activities. They were operating people. They are people who had expertise in managing finance. They had expertise in creating brands. None of them were investors because I hired them for a totally different cause. And I was trying to play a totally different game with the same team. As my luck would take me forward, we had the worst disaster in history, which was the September 11 attack of the World Trade Center. So the whole world wanted to just take the money out of India, and people even stopped giving me meetings at that time. Here I am, I've left my cushy job in ICICI, I've given up my stock options, I have 2 children to feed, who all aspire to go to the United States to study, which would mean a lot of expense, no money in the bank, and probably no job. What do I do? So, with the international market completely shut, one day I read in the newspaper that LIC is struggling with 18,000 crores and not knowing what to do. So I said, look, LIC, I can solve your problem. I can take about 300 crores from you and invest it for you. So I called my colleague who was working with me on the fundraising side, and I said, send the application to LIC. Did you see the newspaper? He said, I read it. So I said, did you find anything interesting? He said, no, nothing exciting for us. I said, no, didn't you read this article which says LIC has so much money? So he said, ma'am, they never invest in private equity product. I said, so what? They have money and they need to invest somewhere. And we are ICICI, so let's knock on that door. So we wrote to them, and within a week, much to our surprise, we got a reply. And my colleague, who was a very, very fair gentleman, he was completely red on his face. He walked into my room. He said, ma'am, LIC se jawab aa gaya. I said, acha, kya jawab aaya? He said, they have rejected our proposal. I said, that's very good. He said, did you hear properly? They have rejected our proposal. I said, no, that's very good. So he said, how is rejecting our proposal good? I said, somebody has applied their mind in LIC and said we are not worthy of being invested with. I can go and convince them as to why they took a wrong decision. If I had got no response from LIC, it would have been a problem because I wouldn't know where to knock. I said, who has signed that letter? I started from there and persevered for 2.5 years to get the first capital out of LIC. In the meantime, we had huge legacy assets with pretty much no hope, and a lot of very courageous and very difficult decisions had to be taken, such as closing down companies, negotiating with promoters and saying, I will not invest the money that I have promised. And trust me, as ICICI, to do these things is not easy. And complaint letters about me would go to my chairman every day. It almost became a routine. Literally, I had to check whether I would have my job the next day because of the number of complaints. But that is where the institution supported an individual like me and said, after all, you're trying to fix a problem and we have to stand by you. From there on, we raised the first fund. My target was $120 million. I had a few people in ICICI Venture who were very experienced. At the end of my conference with them for 2 days, with my entire team saying, what should be the journey of ICICI Venture? What's the purpose? Why are we here? What are we going to do? What's our long-term goal? What's our short-term goal? We came up with a bunch of mission that we felt as a team that we could subscribe to. And one of them, and the most important one, was that we would go out and raise a $120 million fund. So 3 of my very, very senior colleagues at the end of the conference came and handed out their resignation letter to me. They said that, Renuka, you have now proved beyond doubt that you are the most inexperienced leader we can work for. You have no idea what it takes to raise money. The largest ever fund that ICICI has done before this was a $47.5 million fund, and that too, it was a joint venture with the world's largest fund management company called the Trust Company of the West. So if as a joint venture we could raise only $47.5 million, how on earth, after the internet bubble, after the September 11 collapse, you have the confidence to go out and say you will raise $120 million? So we are all going to be in this boat with you as the leader only to discover failure. After 2 or 3 years, I'm better off finding my better options outside. So I said, fine. I spoke to the rest of the team, whether they were committed on the purpose. They were rock solid while they were inexperienced. We ended that journey with $240 million of commitment, much to the surprise of my most aggressive boss that I have worked for ever, Mr. Kamath, saying, how did you manage to raise so much money? Thereafter, the journey carried, and I took my entire team to Harvard Business School. I'm a very big fan of Harvard Business School. I feel that there's something that they do that really kindles your imagination, that really allows you to think differently, that gives you the confidence to go out and try for things that have never happened. There was no point for me to go to Harvard again and again. What am I going to do as a single individual? I need my team to believe. I need my team to be on the same page as me. So I took my entire team, after we raised the money, to Harvard to think about the possibilities for ICICI Venture. Can ICICI Venture be the most reputed private equity player in India, starting from literally nowhere? And what investment strategies, what behavioral practices that we are going to embrace that's going to give us that unique place of position in the Indian financial market? We came back with a lot of ideas and with a lot of courage went out and pursued strategies that were absolutely new to India. We went out and bought the Infomedia business from Tata's, which really rocked the market because first, Tata's as a seller was an unbelievable story, and a private equity player, which is a faceless player, as the buyer was an even more unbelievable story. So my initial days in Infomedia used to be just wiping the tears of the team because they just couldn't believe what had gone wrong to them. What do they go and tell their family? That I used to work for a Tata company and now I work for something called a private equity and their only job is to buy and sell companies. So now I've become a frisbee in the hand of an investor who will keep passing it on. So it was an act of shame and embarrassment for the team in Tata Infomedia for whatever happened, and they could never forgive Tatas for having sold the business. Taking on such a challenge, we dramatically turned around the business. We unfortunately had to change the CEO, find a new CEO, stop some unprofitable businesses, sell real estate, generate cash, get into new businesses, and seriously behave like an entrepreneur. And that got us reputation of a serious private equity player of the same stature and capability as any of my international counterparts. When I started ICICI Venture, I used to have a lot of international players as my role model. By 2004, 2005, those role models that I wanted to emulate came to my office and said, Renuka, we are so inspired by what you have been able to achieve in ICICI Venture that we want to copy some of those strategies in India. For the team, that was the biggest vindication of having done the right thing in the journey. Little did we expect at that time that the markets would open up so quickly, because India did very well in the 2004 to 2007 time frame. And because as an organization we were so well prepared, because my entire team was committed to the purpose of channelizing this international capital, long-term capital, and building very valuable enterprises, that we could scale up phenomenally. Just to put it in perspective, in 2001, when I took charge of ICICI Venture, the third-party capital that we managed was that $47.5 million that I talked about. The rest of it was about 500 crores of ICICI money. In April 2009, when I left the organization, we had $2.5 billion under management. That was the scale-up that was possible in such a short time, when the first 4 years was spent only in laying the foundation. We scaled up into real estate strategies and other strategies, scaled up the private equity platform. 2007 gave us a phenomenal opportunity to exit out of our investments highly profitably. And along the way, we built a franchise of entrepreneurs who sweared by the management practices of ICICI Venture. We were a genuine partner to those enterprises and to those entrepreneurs. We encouraged them to think big. We encouraged them to live up to their full potential. We never forced them to any short-term manipulations of financial performance or operating performance just to suit ourselves. We said, operate with full freedom. We are behind you like a rock-solid pillar as a partner. We want you to realize your full potential. And let us run these businesses with a genuine spirit of partnership, with the highest standards of governance, with the idea that if you do all the right things in the company, value has to follow. There is nothing like chasing value independently. Just build a great company and value will follow, and the markets will give us an exit opportunity. So we built tremendous goodwill in the market, besides building tremendous value in the companies that we invested in. Along the way, the team got very well trained, because every so often we would get together as a team and say, what is it that we want to do? What are our shared values? What's the mission here? What's the journey going to be? It's not laissez-faire. It's not that anybody can do whatever he or she wants to do just to make money. We are building a serious business here. We are building a sustainable business here, and we need to stand for something in the marketplace to differentiate ourselves. So we had very, very hard-coded values around the spirit of partnership, the spirit of excellence, the spirit of unleashing potential, and so on, to build ICICI Venture into a great platform. To share another insight story, when I took the job as ICICI Venture, it was so tiny, so irrelevant, so nondescript, that it used to be very embarrassing to give my card as I'm Renuka from ICICI Venture, because while the card from Renuka from ICICI Bank would have been so much more powerful, and the same would have been true for my colleagues. So that jointly we set a mission that in our journey together, can we make ICICI Venture as powerful a brand as ICICI Bank? Can we feel proud for the fact that we work for ICICI Venture and not for 100% subsidiary of ICICI Bank, which is a very large and a very successful organization. And indeed, we achieved that objective in 2007 when my boss called me and said, Renu, wherever I go, people talk about ICICI Venture with such affection, with such glory, that obviously you would have done something right, with your team. That was the ultimate vindication of, establishing ICICI Venture as a serious private equity platform, which has the probability for eternal success. How was this possible? This was not possible because I am a great leader or there is something very special about me. Not at all. This was possible because along with my team, we had a unified purpose. We had a purpose which got us together, which got us to commit to the organization and to the... Did I expect it? Absolutely no. And in fact, I so much underestimated the goodwill that I had or the trust that I had in the system that I would go and tell chairmen of banks that I don't have a team, but don't worry, I'll build it. They would say, why are you wasting your energy? You have done it 1,000 times for ICICI. Why won't you do it yourself? We trust you more than we trust any institution in this country. And that was again possible because you stood for a bunch of values which you never compromised in good or bad times. The multiples journey has been a remarkably enjoyable and spiritual journey. Things just happened by itself. In a way, I'm just sitting and reaping the benefits of 25 years of hard work in my previous jobs. Again, the same thing. It is a very strong sense of purpose that unites the team in multiples. In terms of what is the institution that we want to build multiples. It's not about just making money. If you talk to a lot of private equity investors around the globe, sadly, they will talk about money. The first question will be, what's the size of the funds you manage? The second question will be, how much money do you expect to make? And what returns did each one of those investments give you? In multiples, of course we need to make money because we are managing somebody else's money and they've entrusted that money with us to make money. But making money is not the purpose. It's building valuable enterprises, creating successful entrepreneurs, creating sustainable companies, building excellence and innovation in your companies, and staying with them in their good and bad times that allows the funds to make money. Again, a solid set of values. In fact, people get a lot confused about partnership. Our businesses are done as partnership. And I asked my team, what's your sense of partnership? What is partnership? Partnership is when one person cannot gain and the other person cannot lose. If you call somebody a partner, you have to make sure that the other person wins before you win. Do you have it in your heart? It's not about having it in your lips. Do you believe everything that you say about your business in your heart? And can you put a team together who also carry it in their heart and have the commitment to live by it minute after minute? If you do that, you ought to be successful. Lastly, to the students, when we graduate and go out for jobs, we unfailingly ask about our compensation, our designation, who will we report to, what will be the nature of work, and so on. Can that language change to what's the purpose of the company that I'm joining? And does that purpose resonate with the purpose of my life? Am I in sync? Am I in harmony when I'm working with this company which has this purpose? What is the value system of this company? And does the value system of this company resonate with my own value system? That's the only way you can be successful. Please stop asking what's my salary and what's my designation. It's irrelevant. It's the time that you spend. With whom are you spending the time? Is the organization investing in you in as much as you are investing your time? And are you growing as a professional? Are you going to be more valuable to society? Are you becoming a more valuable professional? That's the question you need to ask before you make your job choices, rather than, is it a Citibank? Am I getting 2,000 rupees more? Am I getting car service to my home? And our families do confuse us, because we don't live in a perfect system where everyone around you has the same evolved understanding of who you are. In fact, even as parents, we first want to advise our children. We want to tell them, don't do this, do this, before we ask our child, what is it that you want to do? So your destiny is in your hands, not in the hand of your mother or your father or your brother or your sister. And if you want to live your life and bring the best out of you for yourself, you have to answer the question, am I joining a company which has a purpose that matches with what I like to live for, and a value system that I am comfortable to embrace as my own value system? I wish all the entrepreneurs a lot of success. Once again, it's not about jugaad. It's not about somehow putting together the accounts and showing some profit. It is about building sustainable business. Somewhere in this chase of American jargons of Q se Q tak and so on, sustainability has been forgotten. Hiring and firing looks like commonplace. Doing something today and demolishing it tomorrow looks like something that's absolutely acceptable. These are certainly against many Indian ethos that all of us have worshipped, nurtured, and feel very proud to be part of. Let us think about sustainability in our businesses, and let's think about how are we building excellence in our business, which is going to stand the test of time and make our companies around after 50 years and add value to the shareholders, to the employees, and all the other stakeholders. I wish everyone here a lot of success. I probably have taken a little more time than that was allotted to me. Thanks again for listening to me with patience.